Hello and welcome to Boring Dad Gaming, where today we're going to be looking at another position in our Gegenpress system. We're moving into the defence and we're going to start from right to left. We're going to start with the right-sided attacking fullback. Now I'm going to move through things in this video a little bit quicker, hopefully, because I've got quite a few players I want to speak about this time and highlight. So we're going to quickly talk about the role of the fullback in the Gegenpress. And fullbacks in this system are probably one of the more important positions on the pitch, because this is where you're going to get your width in the attacking third. The inside forwards are going to tuck in, and your fullbacks are going to be cantering up and down the left and right flanks, getting in crosses, or even sort of cutting inside and playing passes to one of the forward players. And as such an important position, we're looking for a lot of high stats as well. Luckily, there are quite a few candidates in the game who are ideal to play in this system, and we're going to start off with someone who's arguably the best, or certainly one of the best players in this position at the moment, who is Trent Alexander-Arnold at Liverpool. Second Liverpool player we've highlighted. I know we did Mo Salah before, but they're a team who do play this Gegenpress system, and so the players they've got at the moment are suited for that system. So we're going to talk now about the type of attributes that is important. So we're going to start off with pace and acceleration, and at 14 here, that's fine. I generally look for maybe a minimum of 13 for pace and acceleration, so Trent's more than fine. And at the end of this analysis, I'll throw up a clip of what he'll look like in a few years' time, and he actually does increase those stats. Also important is stamina, because this is a role that's going to be constantly moving up and down the length of the pitch, really. So that's important. Agility is another important stat to have, as they're going to be sort of skipping around other players, including their opposition fullback at times. Dribbling is a very important stat with this role, because they need to be good with the ball and make sure they can, combined with the agility and things like first touch, which is also important, going around those fullbacks. And crossing, which Trent has here, is a very high stat. He's going to be, getting accurate crosses into the box, and although we like to keep the ball on the deck a fair amount, crosses are still a very powerful tool within the game, and particularly the opposite-sided inside forwards, I've noticed within FM22, actually score a good amount of far post headers. If you've got someone on each inside forward position who's got a decent jumping and heading stat, that can be a good source of goals. Something else we're going to look at, it is primarily an attacking role, but secondarily it is a defensive role. So marking and tackling are good to have reasonably high, sort of around the 11 plus sort of range would be fine. First touch and technique, two more important stats, because he's going to sort of receive the ball on the run a lot of the time with the sort of passing into space system that we're playing. So being able to receive that ball and control it quickly, and the technique just to do things smoothly and kick the ball well as well. Two more stats for sort of the more defensive side of the game are concentration and positioning. Positioning probably doesn't need to be super high, but he is going to be called upon to defend, and he's going to be running back to do so. So positioning and concentration are good. Decisions as well, both in the attacking and defensive part of the game. You want someone who can make the right choice in the right moment. And movement, also impossible. As I said, he's a very mobile player, someone who's going to be on the move constantly. So anticipation, so he knows where to be to receive the ball and off the ball, so he's going to be making those runs where teammates can pick him out. Work rate, another important stat, because we want someone who is just going to be putting in the hard yards. If it's too high, then you might find, if you don't have a 19 or 20 for stamina, that they're wearing out a lot. You might have to replace them with a substitute within the match. So a high value is good, but too high might actually be detrimental. And lastly, we get it's not highlighted as one of the key stats for attacking fullback, but something I always like to have, which is bravery and determination. Determination is just they're going to go the extra mile to make sure they're working hard for the team, and bravery, they're just going to get stuck in a little bit as well. We don't want them, especially if they're a defensive role, we don't want them like backing out of challenges or anything like that. So as promised, we're going to throw up a quick slide here of Trent, see what he's going to look like in a few years' time. And as you can see, he's developing into one of the world's best players in this position. I had to make a decision initially whether to go with João Cancelo as another choice for this role. But he's older at the start of the game, playing for Man City. He's pretty much unavailable. He's a very good player. He's probably on a level with Trent at the beginning of the game. But he is someone who's going to sort of reach the age of 30 within a few seasons, so perhaps not a long-term solution for the role. But Trent, if you are at the beginning of the game playing a rich team, you might even be able to obtain him for around the 100 to 150 million pound mark potentially. But yeah, more likely he stays at Liverpool. In every campaign I've played, he's always remained at Liverpool. Next player we're going to have a look at is also an English player playing for a bit lower down the Premier League, and that is Tino Livramento. He's just moved to, I think within this game he's just moved to Southampton, for 5 million, so very good signing by them. 18 years old, very cut out for this attacking role. He's got the pace, acceleration, stamina, work rate, dribbling and crossing, bravery, determination, all these good stats. He's got them. The main question mark with Livramento really is the price tag, because, as I said, he's just signed for Southampton, so it's probably unlikely you'd get him within the first season. In fact, it's unlikely he'd want to move, in fact. I did load up a new save as like a Real Madrid just to ask his agent what he thought he might be able to go for, and I was quoted, I think it was 50 to 60 million pounds. Obviously, I think in this campaign he's obviously valued a lot higher. But going to the second season, maybe around the 50 million to 60 million pound mark might be attainable. Next player we're going to look at is someone who isn't really attainable at the start of the game, Reece James, who along with Trent and Cancelo is one of the sort of 3 best fullbacks within the league. The issue with Reece James is that his club Chelsea at the start of their campaign are going to be under a transfer embargo, so he's actually physically not going to be able to be sold, which is a problem, but in future seasons he will be. A very high price though, probably getting on for around the £100 million mark, but it's worth it because he's very quick, he's very agile, good balance, stamina and strength very high, strength good for that sort of more defensive part of the game, marking, tackling, technique, determination and bravery, crossing is fantastic, slightly better than Trent's actually, dribbling all very good. So yeah, he's again one of the best within the game, but someone who is probably fairly unattainable, certainly at the start of the game and later unless you're a very rich side. Moving on from him to someone who's a bit more on the affordable end of the spectrum, it's Pierre Kalulu at Milan in Italy. He's in a good age range. He's not too young, but he's still got room to develop in terms of his abilities. He's quick, decent stamina and strength, work rate. He's good agility, marking and tackling. He's got the good work rate, determination, bravery, and all the key stats. He's sort of minimum of 12, getting on for 15, but very high for pace. And as I said, he does have room to grow, so I'm going to put a little slide up of what he's going to look like in a few years' time. And as you can see, he's someone who may not be among the best in the world, but is certainly good enough for, I would say, a title-chasing team. And the good news is that at the start of the game, he's fairly available. I think he's in his second season at Milan here. They signed him for less than £500,000, and they're willing to let him go for around the 12 to 17.5 million sort of range. So, fairly achievable for most teams within the Premier League. Someone who is equally pretty good value within the game is Ridle Baku. I think that's how you pronounce his name. And again, he's very good at this attacking role. He's extremely quick, he's agile, very good work rate, tending towards the maybe slightly too high work rate, in fact, but it's still good. Very good off the ball and anticipation, determination. Marking could be better, but as I said, sort of a minimum of 11 is fine for this role, so that's not a problem. Tackling's good at 13, dribbling and crossing high. So yeah, he's very good, and he's even comes with the player trait, gets into opposition areas, so he's someone who's already kind of primed to get forward. If we throw up a slide of what he'll look like in a few years' time, you can see that he does have room to grow still, and looking at a very good option for the position. And at the beginning of the game, you can get Baku for around the 30 to 40 million sort of mark, which is, I think, for how good he is, fairly reasonable. Certainly good enough for a title-chasing team. And we're going to go from Baku to another English player, and it's Tariq Lamptey. And Lamptey is going to be more of a development choice, which isn't really reflected in his price, which is upwards of £50 million, which is obviously very high. And it's high for the kind of player he is at the beginning. You know, he's extremely quick, very, very quick, very agile, good at dribbling and crossing. He does have some weaknesses. He's very small at 5'5", so he's not going to be winning any headers anytime soon. He's not got the greatest strength, and his marking's quite low. However, he does have a pretty good ceiling as a player. So if you pick him up in the first or second season, you know, by his mid-20s, and I'm going to put up a slide now that shows, you know, how he's going to look. You can see he does develop into a pretty good all-rounder, in fact. We're going to go on from Lamptey to someone else who has been in the news quite a lot this summer. It's Jurrien Timber, who plays at Ajax, and he's a player that Manchester United have been trying to sign for new manager Erik ten Hag, unsuccessfully, it seems. But in the start of the game, yeah, he's still at Ajax, and he's attainable. He could be bought for around about the 30 to 40 million mark, which is quite reasonable, really. He is at Ajax in real life. He does tend to play a centre back more, but within the game, he is a natural at right back, and he's good at the attacking side. He's very good on the ball, brings the ball out defence. He's got the pace, he's got the work rate, the determination and bravery. Dribbling could be better, and crossing could be better. So he's perhaps not ideal in those, but you can develop him a little bit. I'm going to put up a slide now to show what he's going to look like in a few years, and he does develop quite well. The one word of warning I would have with Timber is that I've, again, using the in-game editor tool, I've looked at him across my different campaigns, and his ceiling potential can be anything from the mid-50s, which is good, decent, to the mid-70s, which is world-class. And I actually bought him in one of my campaigns when his top-level potential was about 178, which is amazing. So we're going to move on from Timber onto the last player I'm going to talk about, who is very much a budget option, and that's Hans Hateboer, I think that's pronounced. He's playing at Atlanta at the start of the game, 27 years old, so he's probably at his peak at the moment. But he's still a very good choice for this position. He's extremely quick, he's got good stamina and strength. You can see work rate high, determination and bravery high, he's got the concentration, he's reasonably good at dribbling, maybe not ideal, but he's got decent crossing, and marking and tackling are ideal as well. And the good news with him is that he's available for anything from between sort of 10 to 15 million sort of pounds, which is good for someone who's going to be you know, in your team for a good long time. So yeah, so those are my choices for attacking fullbacks on the right side of our Gegenpress system. The next time we come back, we're actually going to look at the left-sided fullback. I think we'll do next, and then we'll follow up with the centre-backs. Yeah, so join me then. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please do hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.